was, of course, ascribed to ghosts and that and all that other stuff. But Stanley Kubrick took me all the way around the set, and then he saw the cigarettes in my jacket pocket, and he asked if he could bum a smoke for me. He said he really wasn't supposed to be smoking, but he just loved to smoke. Could he have a cigarette? I said, yes, of course. They were English silk cut. And he took one, and we talked, and he smoked, and we talked, and he smoked. He was the most dedicated smoker, other than John Mellencamp, that I've ever seen in my life. But he smoked it all the way down to the filter until there was nothing left but the filter. And then he began to roll it between his fingers until it was this little tiny ball of filter. And then from his inside jacket pocket, he took a little tin box, like that cough drops come in, and opened it, and there were like 12 other little balls in there. And he added this one to it and put it back in his pocket, and I thought, boy, this guy is really an anal retentive guy. And so, you know, little mannerisms like that fascinate me. But he was an erudite man, and I just want to say that there's been a lot of hay made about the fact that I never cared for the film that he made of The Shining. But it was never really a big deal with me. Films are films, and I loved all the other ones that he made. I think he's a genius filmmaker, Stanley Kubrick. It was just that one film, and I never really hated it. I just didn't like it that much.
Von The Shining in London tatsächlich besucht, und da sei ja ein Feuer ausgebrochen, das sei da auch reportiert worden, und die Presse schrieb dann sofort wie von irgendwelchen Geistern am Set. Aber er kann sich daran erinnern, dass er eben dann Stanley Kubrick nochmal traf, und damals rauchte er noch, er hatte eine Packung Silkats dabei, und Stanley Kubrick rauchte für sein Leben gern und schnaubte eine Zigarette von ihm und rauchte sie bis auf den Filter runter und machte dann aus dem Filter, der zwischen den Fingern hin und her drehte, so ein kleines Kügelchen. Und als die Kugelform perfekt war, griff er in seine Jackettinnentasche, holte eine kleine Schachtel heraus, öffnete sie und legte sie zu den Dutzend anderen kleinen Kügelchen aus Zigarettenfiltern, die Stephen King darin sah. Und Stephen King dachte, verdammt, das ist ein anal-retentiver Charakter, wenn ich je einen gesehen habe. Aber davon jetzt mal abgesehen, er hat diesen Film gar nicht so sehr gehasst, wie er geschrieben wurde. Er hat ihn nicht besonders gemocht, aber er konzidiert einen genialen Filmemacher, Stanley Kubrick, getroffen zu haben. Und damit auch genug vom Film, enough about the film. At the time, you were not only smoking, you were drinking, and I believe that you have written that you were doing drugs as well. Now,
oh no, not drugs!
there will be no tests, Steve. No tests. You are safe. It's fine. It's a free country, you know.
I don't have to pee in the cup, really?
No, not tonight.
Good.
Tomorrow in Hamburg, probably, but not in Bavaria. Your novel, Dr. Sleep, is very much about addiction.
Yeah.
What fascinates me about that as a subject?
Well, there were a couple of things about it that I wanted to talk about. And one was the idea that addiction to a number of different things is hereditary. And it isn't just in The Shining and Dr. Sleep, it isn't just addiction to booze, it's addiction to rage. Jack Torrance comes from a father who, in The Shining, he has a memory of his father beating his mother senseless at the dining room table. So that when Jack finally snaps, he breaks Danny's arm while he's drunk, and then later, after the spirits of the Overlook begin to work on him, and try to convince him that he can be the new manager of the hotel if he just kills his son. Those are repetitive addictions. The idea, I'm fascinated by the idea that life is circular, that everything comes back to where it started again. So that I wanted to write about the rage, and I also wanted to write about the drinking, because in my own experience, now, I was yeah, I was an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic because the disease doesn't go away just because you don't have a drink. You know, you remain what you are. They have a saying in AA, you can't turn a pickle back into a cucumber. It is what it is. So I know about that, but I also know that there is such a thing as possible recovery from alcoholism. And I'm an example of that. And I know a lot of other people who are. And it just seemed to me that at the time that I wrote The Shining, I didn't understand that there were paths to recovery from active alcoholism. And so I thought it was reasonable that Danny would become an alcoholic because he came from an alcoholic parent, and he had that as an example as a kid. But I thought that it would be really interesting to balance the scales. Jack never tries any kind of organized recovery, so I thought it would be fun to give Danny that chance. And sure, I based a lot of it on what I know of my own experience, but it's still, you know, fiction is fiction. It's a bad idea to come too close toward saying that this is autobiographical or that's autobiographical, because you can't trust writers to do anything but write fiction. You know one's lying if his mouth is moving.
Hat ihn die Vererbbarkeit, die Vererbungsfaktoren, sowohl was denn die Sauferei angeht, wie was diese Zornausbrüche angeht, so interessiert. Und deshalb ging er eben zurück noch in der Darstellung wie Jack Torrance, dem ja die Geister die Managerstelle im Hotel anbieten, wenn er nur seinen Sohn umbringt, wie er diesen Zorn auch dann auf Danny seinen Jungen vererbt, genau wie dann die Idee geboren wurde, aus Danny auch einen Alkoholiker zu machen. Stephen King sagt, ja, das basiere durchaus auf eigene Erfahrung, er sei alkoholkrank gewesen, aber es sei ihm wichtig gewesen, im Dr. Sleep auch zu thematisieren, dass es Wege aus dieser Sucht, aus dieser Krankheit gebe, dass man den Alkoholismus überwinden kann, dass man genesen kann. Daran, und dafür sei er auch ein Beispiel, und das habe er zum Zeitpunkt der Niederschrift von The Shining eben noch nicht, jedenfalls aus eigener Erfahrung gewusst, dass er jetzt in diesen Roman eingeflossen. Aber soweit das persönliche Bekennerische, denn natürlich sei der autobiografische Teil, der da einfließt, nur ein Teil. Autoren, Schriftsteller lügen, wenn sie den Mund aufmachen. Deshalb dürfte man auch autobiografischen Bekenntnissen nicht zu sehr vertrauen.